new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269BL Milwaukee. A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time! It's time! It's Vader time!
You are watching a master at work.
Truth Nation, get ready for the greatest 60 minutes in radio, giving you his authentic and bold opinions, bringing you all the information, entertainment, and conversations you gotta hear. From local issues to trending topics and headline news, it is time for Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, 1017thetruth.com, and streaming live on YouTube. Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is your award-winning host, Kyle Wallace.
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, and it is the start to another week, and it is Monday, August 11th, here on Truth to Power, and we're coming to you live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. You can call in, text in, swim in if you need to at 833-212-1017. Again, that's the Truth Talking text line at 833-212-1017, where you can call in or text in today. And I look forward to hearing from y'all, Truth Nation, after the wild, wet weekend we had here in southeastern Wisconsin. Also, you can watch us on 117 The Truth on YouTube. Give us a like and give us a subscribe as we are on our road to 5,000 subscribers. Truth Nation, good afternoon to y'all. And what up to my producer, Rhea Riley, holding it down on the ones. And the weekend was absolutely historic. State's Fair last day, the rainfall and floods were so devastating that State Fair actually canceled the last day of State Fair because cars were underwater at State Fair Park. So definitely going to get into that today. But as always, to start off the week, y'all know we always got to start the week off with that weekend recap here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth, because there are some stories that I got to tell y'all about.
Truth Nation, we know you have a busy life and the weekend went by too fast. If you missed any of the headline stories, no worries. We got you covered. Tap in for the weekend recap on Truth to Power. Kyle, tell Truth Nation the biggest headlines they need to know.
Truth Nation, the biggest headlines y'all got to know. We already know that the storms in the city of Milwaukee is the biggest news, but we're going to get to that because that is the topic of conversation for today, providing resources and providing an opportunity for reaction. But first and foremost, Truth Nation, I got to talk about some of the news that I saw over the weekend and late last weekend. The first one starts with something that I think is, in the same realm, not as devastating, but maybe more devastating than what we saw with these storms. It's the fact that trans veterans benefits are going to be taken away from military veterans. Yes, so if you are a transgender veteran, you are at risk of losing your retirement benefits. Now, listen up, Truth Nation. The U.S. Air Force said late last week that they would deny all transgender service members who have served between 15 and 18 years. Now, that's a key thing because between 15 instead, separate from them without them receiving retirement benefits. So they would not receive their retirement benefits even though they have served our country for 15 to 18 years. Now, officials said that as of December 9th, 2024, there were 4,240 people, troop members, who were diagnosed with something called gender dysphoria, right, who are active duty military folks. And what the Pentagon has decided to do now is that they're going to use that condition and that diagnosis as a main way to identify anybody who they believe to be trans. So the 4,240 service members that decided that they wanted to step up and protect and serve our country are now at risk of being taken out of the service. Now, Truth Nation, what this all means is that transgender service members will now be faced with the choice of either taking a lump sum separation payment that is offered to junior troops or be removed from the service. There is no this way or that way. Either you take your lump sum for a junior service member so you don't get your money, or you get removed from the service, but you are not allowed to retire from the service. I just want y'all to understand that transgender individuals who are in the military are not getting the right to the benefits that they work so hard for with retirement benefits, right? They put their lives on the line to protect our freedoms, and simply because of the way they identify, they are being told that they are worthless and they will not get the retirement benefits. This is, to me, is extremely un-American. It is extremely un-American to simply tell somebody based off what your identity is, you are not going to be able to get some type of benefits. And I think there is so much hate for the LGBTQ community, but this is one where we need to galvanize and support the LGBTQ community who are troops serving this country. Because at some point we have to draw a line in the sand of what we're going to allow, and this is something that we cannot allow. Denying people their retirement is hateful and a clear case of discrimination. And one Air Force sergeant said that they felt betrayed and devastated by the move, as they should. Because all this country does is lie about their patriotism. And I feel like a lot of people have selective patriotism. See, to me, the real patriots are the people that get up and defend this country that they love, even though the country does not love them back. And so many black people feel that. You are literally kicking people out of the military and then telling them they cannot retire and get benefits simply because they are part of the LGBTQ community. Shame on Pete Hegseth and shame on the Trump administration for allowing this to happen, because that is extremely unfair and should not be happening. So I just wanted to make sure I made everybody aware of the fact that there are transgender veterans who are looking to retire who cannot retire and get the retirement benefits. The Q community, that, my friend, Truth Nation, is not fair. The next story, breaking news, came today as a federal judge has rejected the Trump administration request on the Epstein hoopla being talked about, and they were looking to release some information. The Department of Justice asked to unseal some documents from the grand jury testimony of Ghislaine Maxwell in her sex trafficking case. Now, the judge ruled that releasing the materials is not of the interest of the victims, but it truly is to appease public interest, which I actually agree that's what it is, because me being the nosy person I am, I believe that's accurate. I want to know what's inside of it. But the judge also continued on, Truth Nation, and pointed to the fact that much of the grand jury material that the Department of Justice is seeking has already been made public and presented during Maxwell's trial in 2021. Many of these details are already available to the DOJ already. Now, the scathing part of the judge's statement is this one, Truth Nation. The judge went on, as a member of the public, appreciating that the Maxwell grand jury materials do not contribute to anything to public knowledge, might conclude that the government's motion to unseal these documents was not aimed for transparency, but as a diversion, aimed at not full disclosure, but the illusion of such. So the judge is basically saying that the Trump administration asking for these documents, knowing all along that most of the materials in these documents is already out there, was diversion, which is a very interesting thing for a judge to say, is that it was basically a distraction to try to make people look like you're trying to do something that you know you can't do. So that was very, very interesting. And listen, I would not sit up here and act like I'm an expert in the Epstein or the Maxwell case, because I am not. All I know is that both were accused, and there was evidence that showed that they trafficked young girls to a lot of famous people. Donald Trump might be one. Bill Clinton may be one. Who knows, right? Bill Gates. But what I also know is that they sound like terrible people, and I know I would never personally associate with anybody like that. And what I also know is the fact that Maxwell, who was convicted of a convicted sex offender, who was found guilty of child sex trafficking, was released to a minimum security prison in Texas only after she spoke with the current president's former personal lawyer and now Deputy U.S. Attorney General. Now, the thing that's weird about that is, according to officials from that prison, she did not meet the criteria to be released to that minimum security prison. Typically, she would have been found ineligible to be in that prison. So what I find interesting is that somebody who is not eligible to be in a minimum security prison because they are a sex offender and they trafficked young girls somehow found their way to get to this prison. Now, what's crazy to me is that we have 18-year-old boys who are in worse prisons for sleeping with a former 15-year-old high school classmate than what Ghislaine Maxwell is in. Ghislaine Maxwell participated in drugging and the raping of these young girls on the island. And somehow she's in a minimum security prison. But meanwhile, a 18-year-old sleeps with a 16 or 15-year-old who they knew in high school. And I'm not condoning it, but what I'm saying is, if somebody's a senior and somebody's a freshman in high school, that's a 3-year age gap. And there are people in jail because of that. But meanwhile, somebody who trafficked these young 13, 14, 15-year-olds is at a prison that they describe to be kind of like a dormitory-style prison. Very low security. And it's crazy that the president advocated for a child sex trafficker to be released to that low minimum security prison. Very, very odd. And lastly, for the weekend recap, Shedeur Sanders is the name. I don't know about y'all, but I got a chance to watch some of the game. Really highlights of the game of Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders, put on a very good performance Friday night. Now, if you do not remember, Shedeur Sanders was one of the top-ranked prospects coming out of college this year at quarterback. Many saw him as the second-best quarterback coming out the NFL draft. Many thought he would be a first-round pick. For sure wouldn't fall past the second-round pick. But come draft days, Shedeur didn't go in the first round. He didn't go in the second round. He didn't go in the third round. He didn't go in the fourth round. Shedeur did not get drafted until it got to the fifth round of the NFL draft, and he made his preseason debut on Friday night, and it was a very good preseason debut. Shedeur Sanders went 14-23, throwing for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I want y'all to remember, when you judge him, right, when you pass judgment on Shedeur Sanders and you think about his performance, I want y'all to look at it from a lens that he is a 5th-round draft pick. He's not a first-round pick like he was projected to be. Don't look at him as Deion Sanders' son. Look at him as a 5th-round pick in the NFL draft. And for where he was drafted and how he performed, he outperformed his draft status. And he went against 1s and 2s, and he did well as a rookie in his first performance. He performed better than any quarterback on the Green Bay Packers roster on Saturday night, I can tell you that much. So good job to him, and shout out to all his haters as well that tried to say, oh, he's too flashy, he's too that. Shut up. Just a young kid with confidence who also knows how to play football. 833-212-1017. That is your weekend recap here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Now, in 3 minutes, Truth Nation, we are going to talk about the devastating floods that hit the city of Milwaukee. I do want to hear from you, but I'm also going to share with you what all happened, my experience as well, because trust me, Truth Nation, I want to have a moment for us to come together and actually be happy with the fact that we're alive today. Right? Because of the devastating floods that I saw in many people's basements, what I saw in my own basement, my parents and different people I know. I feel blessed to be able to be alive. I feel blessed that I wasn't on top of a car. So we're going to talk about this. You can share your stories as well. 833-212-1017. We're going to talk about how in the world we ended up having record-breaking rainfall after only having a prediction of 2 inches of rain. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. In 3 minutes, we're going to talk about the floods that were historic that devastated southeastern Wisconsin. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
More of Truth to Power is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Your expression on your face, that's got to me. And the man wasn't lying.
What you mean the expression on my face? How can you see my face? You listening to me on the radio, man.
No, I'm watching you on YouTube, too.
Oh, all right, then. You're an old man, and you know about YouTube. How old are you, Adam? You about 85.
83.
I'll be dipped. How blessed are we to have you?
Watch all your favorite 1017 The Truth shows by subscribing to 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Saving energy and money is easier than you think. Here are 2 simple things you can do to reduce your energy use and lower your energy bill. Use thermal curtains to reduce each room's energy loss by up to 25%, and make sure vents aren't blocked by furniture or rugs to improve airflow and comfort. Simple, smart savings. Get more energy-saving tips at weenergies.com. Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
This is Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
Looking for the Brewers fan experience of a lifetime? American Family Insurance is here to make it happen. Enter the Superfan Tailgate Sweepstakes for your chance to win a pregame tailgate party for you and 5 friends, complete with a private chef and DJ. Woo! You'll also score field-level tickets, hotel stay, exclusive Brewers merch, and a Christian Yelich memorabilia. Truth Nation, make sure you enter now at amfam.com/brewers. That's amfam.com/brewers. No purchase necessary. Enter by 11:59 p.m. Central Time on August 25th to see official rules. Go to amfam.com/brewers. You know what? I don't work for AmFam. I'm just an endorser, and I think I'm eligible. I'm going to sign up for this Superfan. I love me some free food, hotel stay. Oh, snap. Also, American Family Insurance is a great insurance company, so make sure y'all go to amfam.com as well to not only find out about this great giveaway, but to find an agent near you. Because if you don't have homeowners insurance or flood insurance or car insurance, this weekend you found out you probably should have it. And American Family Insurance got you. So again, go to amfam.com to find an agent near you or to get a quote online instantly. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. You can always watch and stream us live by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. That is 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Shout out to Rhea Riley. During the break, what you'll see throughout this show is you'll see different images of different flooding across southeastern Wisconsin. Because let me tell y'all this right now. This weekend, was a doozy. It was an absolute doozy. Now, people have lost so much, and I know we're going to talk about that. But to me, this was as close as we'll ever get to a hurricane. I remember I was down in Florida when a hurricane was about to hit. I think I've told that story online, how I had a panic attack because I was inside of a house and they told me my flight got canceled. I said, oh, hell no, get me out of here. I drove all the way to Orlando to get up out of there. So this might be the closest we ever get to a hurricane, because here in southeastern Wisconsin, Milwaukee specifically, we saw 14 inches of rain in less than 24 hours. And let me just tell y'all how significant that is. The months of June, July, and August typically see an average rainfall total of 11 inches of rain. Total in 3 months. In 24 hours, we got over 3 months worth of rain dumped on southeastern Wisconsin. And I truly do feel for the people who lost so much this weekend in the floods, because the images from our state right, in southeastern Wisconsin were tough to see. Seeing people stranded on the freeway on top of their cars because their vehicle was submerged in 4-foot or higher water, and the only way to survive was for them to sit on the top of their car while they waited for somebody to come save them. Think about that. Imagine driving, because, I don't know about y'all. I've had dreams of when I drove into like a body of water, like a river, and I freak out. Like that seems, I don't know about you, Rhea, that seems like an awful way to go, is to drive into some water and now you got to get out the car. Like I can swim, but I'm scared of water. I'm very, very afraid of water. Very afraid of water. I don't.
Did you buy one of the things to like kick the glass when you get locked in water?
No, I did not. I don't even want to think about it. I'm telling you this right now. I would have had a panic attack had I driven into some water. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So for folks who had to sit on top of the car that they invested so much money in, the car that is completely total, because I can tell you this right now, if your car was submerged in water for any long period of time, any period of time, your car is destroyed. Hope you have car insurance. But that is devastating, right? People literally had to swim to safety. I saw an image of a brother swimming from his car to get to safety. That is traumatic. And then on top of that, Truth Nation, seeing and hearing stories about people's basements being flooded, having water up to the stairs. Somebody said they had 9 feet worth of water. I know somebody I know personally. My basement got water, but it didn't get as high as water as possible. Somebody let me know they had their basement, the water was up to the second stair at the bottom. Oh, no, it was the second stair at the top. It was high. The water was extremely high inside of their home. Literally, furniture floating, toys floating, clothes floating, freezers and washers and dryers floating in the water, electrical outlets destroyed, Christmas decorations gone. It was absolutely devastating. And the thing that hurts the most is you think about the family mementos, memorabilia, pictures, clothes, and so much more gone in this flood. And then the images, and I don't know if y'all saw this, but the images, Rhea, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if it's part of the rotation. If it's not, we got to find it. Is the images of underground parking garages in Brown Deer, Oak Creek, and many other places that were filled with water. Literally, I saw a video of somebody going to their parking garage and it literally being filled with water where all you could do is see the top of your vehicle. That is devastating. Many of our great rivers overflowing here in southeastern Wisconsin, seeing record high levels of water rushing and damaging roads and parks, roads falling apart. I saw a football field out there at Hart Park flooded with rain. Football season starts in 1 week. I don't know how they're going to get that done. People losing power like my family, right? My parents were without power, senior citizens without power for over 15 hours. Power went out sometime late, or I should say early, Sunday morning, I think 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. They power didn't get back on until 3:30 in the afternoon, right? There goes the food that they had. And so, Truth Nation, what I'm trying to get at is that what we saw, what we experienced was historic. It was a 500-year, 1,000-year flood. And even though that we had to deal with this devastating flood, I want us to put something in perspective, right? Because losing power is awful. Losing materials are awful. Having this disaster is awful. But the bright spot that I felt like I saw was the majority of people were able to stay safe and keep their lives, which to me, Truth Nation, is the most important thing. That we haven't heard about the loss of life. But I do feel for those who lost so much in their basement. You know, when it comes to the basement, and my basement had water in it, I'm traumatized from the water. I really was. My lady woke me up at 6 o'clock in the morning talking about a car alarm, and then we watched some videos on social media, and I was like, ooh, maybe I should go check my basement. And there it was, water in my basement. I said, dang. So I had to bring out the shop vac. But something that is really personal for me when we talk about flooding in the basement, growing up as a kid, something my dad always did is he took photos, right? He loved taking pictures, and I was always trying to understand why my father always took pictures every single event. Some events, I'm like, dog, even at funerals, I'm like, Dad, what do you Taking pictures. This is a funeral. This is sad. Get me off this camera. Vacations, everything. Family reunions. And the reason why he did this is the reason why I know a lot of people are going through a lot of stress and a lot of traumatic feelings right now. And if you have this similar feeling, again, 833-212-1017, that is the Truth Talking text line. Call in, text in, or you can watch and stream us live on YouTube at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. See, my father, when he was young, maybe in his teens, early 20s, my grandparents' house had a flood. And so when my grandparents' house got flooded, all the photos he had from his childhood, his youth, were gone and destroyed because of the flood. And so as me growing up, 20 years later, my dad always taking photos was because of the traumatic thing he experienced with losing all his photos. When I say this man take pictures, he take a lot of pictures because he was scarred from losing all the photos he had of his childhood. And so he wanted to make sure that his sons were still able to have the photos of their childhood by taking photo after photo after photo, album after album after album. But so I'm just wanting people to understand that what happened this weekend, though we are still alive, there is a lot of traumatic loss that people had. Because when you see stuff floating in your basement, when you think about the stuff you have in your basement, hell, in my basement, we got some family stuff inside my basement, and I would be devastated. I had a cousin that passed away at the beginning of June, and I was keeping some of his stuff, his brother's stuff, and it was photos. And I remember after, I had it for months, forever. And I just could only imagine not being able to go through some of them old photos that we utilized for the funeral, but so many people lost stuff. And so I feel for you, Truth Nation. I feel for those who lost stuff. But also, yesterday was a very destructive day, and I want to provide some takeaways and resources for those of you like me who were negatively impacted by the storms. 833-212-1017. I do want to hear from those who were impacted by the storms. How did you persevere through? What was the extent of the damage? What are you looking to do? But also, we're going to have a conversation about the resources out there and how we can come together as a community. Because there is a reason for this. And the reason ain't just the fact that global warming, and trust me, global warming plays a role in all of this. But we also play a role in this as well in doing our part as a community. So I'm going to take this call, but when we come back, I'm going to talk about some of the resources and how we negatively impacted how bad some of the storms were. We weren't the reason why, but we did play a key role. 833-212-1017. Security Mike, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. What are your thoughts on the Milwaukee flash floods?
Yeah, it's bad. I was in one back in the mid-'90s, Cal. I was living on 48th and Hampton.
Oh, okay.
Got up and it was like a Wall Park. You know where Wall Park at?
Yes, sir.
It was like a lake.
Wow.
And I went through it. I had a flat. I was renting a flat house. I didn't own a house. I was paying rent, but it had no basement. So yeah, I had considerable amount of damage. And after everything was over, FEMA came out. I was still there for about a couple of weeks after that, but the mildew and all of that, the spots all over the wall, they said, you can't live like this. They cut me a check right away.
Yeah.
Went and stayed with my cousin until, So this probably was about 96, 97. That's not too long ago, 20 some odd years.
Yeah, we have some heavy rains. This is the amount that was dumped down, but you said something, Security Mike, about FEMA. And that is one of my biggest concerns.
Trump made cuts to that.
Yeah,
people that voted for Trump, they really going to see what's happening now, because a lot of people ain't going to get taken care of. I hate to say that, but a lot of people ain't going to get taken care of, man.
Yeah, Security Mike, this is one of my biggest fears when it comes to FEMA is that we may get denied. Because out in the state of Maryland, Governor Westmore in a blue state, they had some floods that were damaging, all right? So now that we see how devastating floods can be, now it puts in perspective of what other states have gone through. And when you deny somebody, imagine this. Imagine us having these floods where we see rivers overflowing. We see houses that have turned into swimming pools. And imagine if the United States government makes a decision to say that we're not going to provide any federal assistance for what you just had to go through. Just think about that. Think about the pain, the loss that we all had. And so I pray and I hope that FEMA steps up for those who are hurting the community. I pray and hope FEMA steps up for me. I hope FEMA steps up for a lot of folks. But it is crazy that we do live in a time where we are questioning whether or not we're going to get assistance from FEMA. And I remember as I was sucking up some of the water, and I was talking about, FEMA could come through. I said, wait, let me change that. I hope FEMA could come through. And FEMA stands for Federal Emergency Management Agency. And so it's unfortunate that we do live in a moment in a time where disaster relief is now a political football that you're able to decide who you're going to throw the ball to. When the devastating fires happened in California, they eventually got some assistance, but the assistance wasn't anything that was for sure going to be provided. When you talk about devastating storms that happened in the blue state of Maryland, they were denied aid from the federal government, even though they had devastating storms. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were a blue state ran by a Democratic governor. Now, the good thing about Wisconsin is that we are a swing state that voted for Donald Trump. Though we have a governor that is a Democrat, it's still a positive that we are a swing state because of the fact that that means that we still politically mean something. But if you just go ahead and you Google yourself images from Maryland's storm earlier this year that was denied access to FEMA, what you'll see is something that reminds you of what we just went through. Houses torn apart, trees down, light poles down, floods in different places, roads messed up. When you see some of the destruction that happened in Maryland and you compare it to the destruction and the loss that we had here in Wisconsin, you'll see a lot of similarities. But because that is a blue state ran by a blue governor that always votes blue for presidents, they were denied access to these FEMA funds. So I hope and pray that we here in Wisconsin get our FEMA funds that we deserve, because this is not a time to play politics. This is a time to put the people first. But 833-212-1017. You can share your stories by calling in or texting in to this historic flood that we just went through, because I'm going to tell y'all this right now. We will never forget this day of August 9th and August 10th. It will forever live on in this state as a historic day that we had massive rainfall and massive floods. But again, 833-212-1017. I want to hear your stories if you were personally impacted by the floods. In 4 minutes, we'll hear from you, and we'll also talk about how we can prevent things from this from happening as well. Keep it locked. You're listening to Truth to Power. In 4 minutes, I'll hear from you and also take some solutions.
Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
You hit the library. Shh, hard. And keep your eyes on the prize. Also, one day you can earn that bachelor's. Finishing what you start where you want, that's worth working for. And here is how you get there. Here at MATC, where smart programs prep you for next-level challenges. Earning your bachelor's can start right away, and graduation is just the beginning. Here's to an education that takes you farther. Here's how you get there. Here at matc.edu/get there.
This summer, make 3rd Street Market Hall your one-stop, must-stop destination to eat, drink, and play. 3rd Street Market Hall has over 15 locally owned food vendors, a self-serve beer wall featuring 30 Wisconsin breweries, over 50 HD TVs, and happy hour specials all week. The perfect place to work remotely or catch a game between meetings or over lunch, 3rd Street Market Hall is your home away from home or office. Visit 3rdstreetmarkethall.com for menus, events, and more information.
This is your Versity Blood Center of Wisconsin Community Impact Moment on 1017 The Truth.
What was the life change? You know, we all know it happened, and we know things happen and you have bad kidneys, but what was the life change afterwards?
A couple things. Before they even allow you to get on the list, they make you go through a battery of tests. And, you know, a lot of people don't qualify because they're overweight, or they have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. So all those things are requirements before you can even get approved to be on the list. So I had.
Wait a minute, you got to be approved to be on the list?
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's interesting. There's a professional athlete or former professional athlete I know right now that has kidney disease, and he's on dialysis, and he wants to get on the list, and he's not accepting all the things you have to do,
right,
you know, to get on the list. But yeah, so for me, I spent 30 years in the automobile industry. You know, that's 12, 14-hour days, eating whatever somebody brings you to eat, whatever you run out and grab, McDonald's, whatever. It was never salads and, you know.
Yeah, but that was a
water.
choice, right?
It was a choice.
Yeah.
But I had to change all of that to even qualify to be on the list. I had to get down to the weight I had to be at. I had to get my phosphorus under control, my potassium under control.
Wait a minute, even though somebody said they would give you a kidney,
absolutely,
you had to still make yourself eligible?
Absolutely.
Nah, that's okay.
When I mentioned the athlete, his relative actually died, and they wanted to take his organs, and they couldn't because he wasn't qualified. He wasn't on the list.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to be.
So there are over 100,000 people on that waiting list. So they are very serious.
And how many donors do we have?
And that's the problem. We don't have nearly enough donors.
Wow.
And that's why it's such a critical need. But they are serious about who they're giving that gift of life to, because there are so many people who are literally dying waiting for it.
To make an impact by donating blood in your community, visit versity.org today.
This Associated Bank Sports Update on 101.7 The Truth is powered by ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Nazir Spencer. The Brewers sweep the New York Mets and continue their 9-game win streak. Isaac Collins with a walk-off home run to get the Brewers the sweep and lead the NL Central by 6 games.
2-2. Fly ball to deep right. It is back. Soto back. Out of here! Isaac Collins walks it off against the Mets. You can't make it up.
The Brewers will take on Paul Skeens and the Pirates next at All at American Family Field. Brewers sit atop the MLB at 73-44. The Packers move on to the next preseason game in Indianapolis this Saturday, with the game starting at noon. This sports update brought to you by Associated Bank, proudly supporting your hometown teams, member FDIC.
It is Truth to Power on 101.7 The Truth app, and streaming live on 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
If you or a loved one is ever injured in an accident, y'all know who to call. It's one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices, and they will take great care of you. What I love about Gruber Law Offices is they are helping people and families who are seriously injured in accidents. They stand up for victims and take the burden off your shoulders, and they focus on the legal aspect so you can focus on healing. And always remember, when you make one call, that's all, you don't have to pay for them to consult with you. You don't have to pay to retain them as a law firm. You never pay a single penny until they win your case. So don't go back and forth with the insurance companies. Make one call, that's all, to Gruber Law Offices, and they will take care of you. Again, call Gruber Law Office today at 414-276-6666. That's 414-276-6666, or visit them at gruber-law.com. It's one call, that's all, with Gruber Law Offices. This is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth. We're recounting and talking about the historic storms that hit the city of Milwaukee yesterday. And again, I feel blessed and fortunate for the city of Milwaukee and for those here in the city of Milwaukee who are still safe out of the storms. And I feel blessed and fortunate for me to be safe from the storms. Now, also, I want to provide some resources for y'all as well, because I think it's important for us to understand that there are resources out there and also information as well. The first thing I have to say is this. Again, it's not our fault that the storms happen, but make sure you not littering. This is one of the reasons why you should not litter, because if you did not see, shout out to somebody named Montreal Kane. Montreal Kane, met him a couple times. He came here on 101.7 The Truth, been part of some of the stuff that we've done. But Montreal Kane took the time to actually step up and be a beacon of light for his community. And he led the way. He made a video, some of the drains, the sewer drains, on the streets of Milwaukee, because the water was piling up on the streets of Milwaukee, and it was piling up because the water couldn't flow because there was so much litter that got caught in the sewer drains. So him and some other folks went out there and they cleaned some of the drains, which alleviated some of the flooding on a lot of the main streets in Milwaukee. So shout out to him and shout out to others who took things into their own hands to help unclog the sewers and relieve the water from our streets in our community. There were many streets which turned into rivers over the weekend. I got a video of some as well. So, again, I'm just happy that we have some folks out there stepping up. But let this be a lesson that let's reduce on the littering. When somebody litters, call them out because we got to be better. Now, also, the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that make sure you have some type of homeowner's insurance or you have some type of flood insurance, right? Because many insurance companies, they will have insurance for sewer backups. And so make sure you contact your insurance company because this destruction can be very costly. And having insurance can help ease the pain and the financial burden you will see from this. We're talking about thousands of houses across southeastern Wisconsin negatively impacted by this, and it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars of worth of property damage throughout southeastern Wisconsin. So hopefully you had a homeowner's insurance policy that had flood coverage, or you potentially have flood insurance as well, but make sure you contact your insurance company to ensure that you are protected from things like this. Now, in addition to that, Truth Nation, I talked about FEMA on the other side, and in order for the state of Wisconsin to get FEMA, we need to make sure that we get a presidential declaration for it being an emergency here. And so that has to come from the request from Governor Tony Evers, and then the president has to give us that. Now, what you can do to try to get some assistance and let people know that you need assistance is you can fill out a form for 211. Again, it helps the state get assistance. 211 is a go-to resource for disaster-related information. You can access it by dialing 211 or texting 211, but also, or it's 898-211. But also, you can go online and you can go to 211 assistance page and you can report the damage. That's what I'm going to do after the show tonight when I get done with work, and I'm going to report the damage that we got. So it's important that we report this damage because what that can do is that can help assess the need for state and federal aid. And again, I plan on doing it. It's going to take about 15 minutes. I've already reviewed it and looked at it. It's going to take about 15 minutes, but make sure that y'all go to 211. If you just type in 211 disaster Wisconsin, you'll be taken to a page and you just have to click the link that says report damage and fill that information out. Because I don't know if we're going to get funds. I don't know if your insurance company will cover it or not. But what I do know is we have to do everything we can to ensure that we get some type of assistance. And by going to 211 Wisconsin and then reporting this, you will have an opportunity to report the damage, and you'll have an opportunity to help our state potentially get aids and help yourself get aid as well. And then lastly, for those who are dealing with some storm damage and those who have stuff that is ruined, U-Haul here in the state of Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin, is offering 30 days of free storage and U-Box container usage at 11 different companies across the Milwaukee area. And according to the VP, the vice president, the area district vice president, many families are dealing with flooded basement and homes throughout the area, said Sean Oden. And we are ready to help our neighbors who have been impacted and can use a dry and secure place to store their belongings. The offer applies to new rentals based on availability, and U-Box containers must remain on site. Again, you can find the different locations online, but if you have you're dealing with some issues with your home, you have stuff outside of your home, you're trying, have things that are damaged, and you need a U-Haul, you can get a U-Haul for free for 30 days by contacting U-Haul. So, again, right now they're offering 30 days of free self-storage. So that is something that is great. Thank you so much to that corporation stepping up to help those in need. So, again, you can find out more information about that by going to uhaul.com. But 833-212-1017. Blake in Milwaukee, you're on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. You have thoughts about the flash floods that we saw over this weekend?
My thoughts are the sewer system is outdated. That's what it boils down to. I've been in my house 5 years, and the reason we haven't purchased it because we know it's in the flood zone. And the landlord didn't think we knew that when we moved in there. But I'm like, I grew up here, so I know the area. I'll stay right off over there between 46 and 45th and Hampton. So, and you can swim it. You can literally, the water was up to our ankles in our grass in the backyard. In the front, the water came to the front step door. But in our basement, I got up at 7 o'clock. And the water was at the basement step. So I knew it was at the basement step. It was wall to wall. Yeah. And it sat until 6:30 yesterday evening. So I went home this morning after I got my break, and I got rid of everything I owned was in totes. So I would go downstairs and get my clothes and change or whatever because there's not a lot of storage, car space. Plus we got the daycare open. I had 6 totes full of clothes, winter, summer, spring, fall, coats, all that stuff. All my stuff had floated up, got lifted up. It was stacked on top of each other. So that's about 500 pounds, maybe 600 pounds worth of clothes stacked on top of each other, snap clothes all over the place. So I have nothing.
I'm so
except for the clothes that I wore. Except for the clothes that I wore last week that I was gonna wash. Me and my wife got like 3 loads of clothes, but all her stuff is put up. All my stuff is gone. I'm not mad because, as she said, I'm bougie. I can just go get it again. My daughter was on a date, and this dummy was in the F-150 and smashed down Miller Parkway. She told him don't get on the highway. He crashed into that water, dude. My daughter was in one of them cars on the highway, but she got out. She can't swim, but she got out. She got her Uber. She got home, and she blocked dude.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad your daughter is safe, especially how traumatic they could be trying to smash through water, not understanding that when you go in, it may dip down and get deeper. So I'm glad that she survived.
She knew. Yeah, she was smart. She like, dude, don't do that. He's like, no, I got a truck. He's gonna ram it and go down there, and he shut off. She was like, okay, dude, I'm out. She jumped out the truck. The water, she said, Dad, the water was coming so fast. And then she called us. She said, you know, a bee can't swim. I said, baby, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you couldn't swim. She said, no, a bee can't swim. I'm like, baby, okay. So she got home, man, and she felt like this time, when you can't call your parents and nothing, she's like, I was just fighting for my life last night, Dad. So I'm glad that turned out good. But
and really quick, Blake, we got to go to the next caller. But I want to say, it seems to me that you are upbeat for someone who lost so much, and daughter who had to deal with a traumatic situation. And trust me, I saw a video of water flowing through the somebody's basement window, just literally running like a river into their basement. I'm sure your house was very similar. I'm praying for you and thinking about you, but I'm so glad that your perspective and you're so upbeat after dealing with such a traumatic situation. So thank you so much, Blake, for having those high spirits. And that, to me, is the reason why I'm not – why my lady's dad texted us about how if we needed fans. I said, we good. I said, because at the end of the day, if I can use a shop vac, right? I didn't need to wait for something to drain. I need to call a company to come suck all the water out. So I'm good and blessed and fortunate. All I needed was a shop vac. While many people lost things, all I had to do was deal with a little water in my basement. So it is a blessing. So I'm praying for you, Blake, and I'm glad you have such a positive perspective on such a traumatic situation. 833-212-1017. We're talking about the devastating floods that hit southeastern Wisconsin. Donnie in Milwaukee, what are your thoughts on these floods?
How it was kind of an eye-opening experience for me. And for the city itself, because everybody's preparing for some things, and then just a little bit of water wasn't even that bad, and everybody's losing their mind and everything. So it's like, what choices are we consciously and unconsciously making? Even into Texas, like you see a reckless driver, people don't hit their hazards, or even yield for police chasing them, or even people paying their fare to get on the bus.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts as well. But 833-212-1017. Something else I do want to talk about when we come back, because again, this is devastating, right? And hearing these stories are important. But one thing I do want to do is, it's hard to blame the city. I'm not going to blame the city for this. I mean, at the end of the day, this was a historic day. But I do want to talk about the fact that I don't know about y'all, because I had a wedding this weekend, and I was tracking the weather. Right, I was tracking the weather. And if you're like me, you trying to figure out what in the hell happened. Because if you like me, you know that it wasn't supposed to rain like that. It was supposed to rain. It was supposed to rain at 7 o'clock. And it was supposed to rain again at 10 o'clock. It was like a 30-some% chance. I was watching it because I had an outdoor wedding to be at out in the sticks. So when we come back on the other side, Truth Nation, for those of you who are like me, trying to figure out, how did Milwaukee County, Waukesha County, Ozaukee County, and Washington County go from only supposed to be having a couple inches of rain to having record rainfall in 24 hours, power still out for many people, basement still flooded, mildew in your basement? How did that happen? I'm going to tell you how on the other side. Keep it locked in 4 minutes. I'm going to put on my meteorologist cap and let y'all know exactly why your basement might have gotten flooded, and why we had so much rain out of nowhere here in Wisconsin. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. Keep it locked in 3 minutes. We will talk about why we had this rainfall, but more importantly, make sure y'all watch the break screen, because we're showing images of some of the devastation that took place here in Wisconsin. This is Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. In 3 minutes, I'll tell y'all why we got so much rain.
You are listening to Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace on 1017 The Truth and The Truth app. Catch Truth to Power every weekday from noon to 1 p.m.
This is 1017 The Truth's Kyle Wallace, and I am Milwaukee. I take great pride in being a 414 boy and representing the city that I love. The great memories I have of going to Northtown Cinema to see movies with family and friends, to going to Capitol Court to see the Black Santa Claus, this city has helped shape me into the man that I am today, and I pledge to utilize my voice as a way to advocate for you in our community. Join the home of Milwaukee's realest conversations where you can speak your truth. We are the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk.
We Energies want you to keep this important safety message in mind. Before you start digging, planting, or landscaping on your property, call 811 to have underground utilities marked. Calling 811 at least 3 business days before you plan to dig will help you know what's below and can prevent a hazardous situation. Our representatives will mark the underground utilities on your property for free. So remember, stay safe and call before you dig.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. American Family Insurance can help protect your dream home for whatever comes next. You can live in your own oasis or your own clubhouse. Whatever you choose, get the right coverage. Save up to 23% by bundling home and auto. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
It's 1017 The Truth. Dr. Ken Harris for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. It all started with a new invention in 1925, the roll screen. The ability to roll a window screen up and down like a shade. Pella invested in this breakthrough when the business was born in Pella, Iowa, and has introduced the world to innovation, game-changing decisions ever since. They've been at it for a century. When you want long-lasting comfort and reliability, it's easy to trust Pella. Every piece is specifically constructed for you and your home and always designed with innovation and rigorously tested for quality and performance. The Pella team takes pride in constructing quality windows and doors with meticulous attention to every detail. Investing in new Pella windows and doors creates long-term energy savings and durability that lasts for years. There's no reason to wait because if you order by August 31st, get 0% interest for up to 60 months. Certain restrictions apply. Yes, that's up to 5 years with no interest payments, so don't miss out. Visit PellaWI.com today.
You are listening to Truth to Power on 1017 The Truth app, and streaming live on 1017 The Truth on YouTube.
1, 2, 3, ho!
It is Truth to Power here on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. I'm Kyle Wallace, the host of Truth to Power, and we're talking about the flash floods that we have been dealing with so far today. And before we get to the flash floods and why we had so much rain, also I want you to know, shout out to my baby girl, the Red Cross has 2 shelters open for those who have been affected by the severe weather, and you're welcome to join the Red Cross at their shelters. One is located on the south side of Milwaukee at 5151 South 6th Street in Milwaukee at Hyler Park, and another one is Washington Park Senior Center, North Side. So they are utilizing those 2 places and spaces for shelters for American Red Cross for somebody who has been displaced. And thinking about displaced folks, think about the homeless folks who have no place to go, but just to, and lost stuff as well. So I think it's important for us to recognize and realize that this was a devastating storm that impacted a lot of people. Now, again, if you are like me and you're trying to figure out how the heck did this happen, I'm going to tell y'all. So, like I said before, this was extremely unexpected because I was tracking the weather all day because I had an outdoor wedding that I had to attend. The ceremony was supposed to begin at 5 o'clock. They wanted us there at 4:30. I got there at 4:45. But the weather was beautiful and hot all day because your boy was out there cutting the grass, doing yard work. I lost 3 pounds. It was so hot and humid on Saturday. I lost 3 pounds. Simply just moving around, cutting the grass, doing yard work. So I was proud of myself. I'm a fat boy, so I was sweating off all that fat. Really excited about that. Now, since I had the outdoor wedding, I told y'all I was tracking the rain all day. And I know for a fact, when I looked at it, it wasn't supposed to rain till 7 p.m. And it was only a 30% chance of rain, and then it was going to rain again at 10 p.m. And so I was like, ooh, it's going to be weird. But it was only supposed to be, the National Weather Service said we were only supposed to get 2 inches of rain, which is still a lot of rain in one day, but we were only supposed to get 2 inches of rain. So to many people surprised like myself, I don't know about you, Rhea, were you shocked too when you saw this rain come? 'Cause I know I was shocked. She nodded her head. Yeah, she was shocked. When it started getting cloudy around 3:45 on Saturday, I was like, what's going on here? And then by 4:45, when I literally was parking and pulling up for the wedding, downpour. They had to all run in the house. They grabbed the chairs. It was crazy. But even with that, I'm watching a Doppler. I'm thinking, well, maybe if we stay in the house here for about 30 minutes, 5:15, we'll maybe be able to beat the storms. Nope. It just kept coming and coming and coming. And a lot of y'all like me are asking what happened. Now, Truth Nation, I'm not a meteorologist, but I can read. And I'm going to tell y'all exactly what happened and why we ended up getting such a huge rainfall. So what happened was there were shifting winds that led to an increase in moisture in the atmosphere, which combined with the earlier thunderstorms that we had, it triggered for an additional round after round after round of storms that we saw throughout the late afternoon and throughout the night, all the way into the early morning. And so the high humidity in the air combined with those strong winds carrying that moisture and those stationary thunderstorms interacting with one another all caused for a record-setting storm. And by the way, there's more rain in the forecast for tomorrow. So if you like me and you're a little traumatized, just pray on it. Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I was shocked this morning when I went downstairs to my basement. I didn't see rain. I literally yelled upstairs, ain't no rain, ain't no water. But this has been Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. Thank y'all so much for listening. Thanks so much for y'all sharing y'all stories. And also, let's pray and hope that we get FEMA assistance. Make sure y'all go to 211 Wisconsin so y'all can fill out for the resources. Again, go to their resource page so you can try to get resources from 211 Wisconsin so we can get resources from FEMA here in the state of Wisconsin. But this has been Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace. The Tory Lowe Show is up next. Peace out. I will see y'all tomorrow.
August is Black Business Month, and the award-winning 1017 The Truth is teaming up with Associated Bank to celebrate the excellence of